Good morning and God bless. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to all my loved ones, my family and friends. Man, 3 weeks of working on this house. The ceilings are done. So that heavy drywall, that 5/8 drywall, done. I got one soffit to do. That's it. But the ceilings are done and I made it 3 weeks. I did have some help. My old boss helped me out a little bit when he could, but that 5/8 was, man, it was tough to carry that 5/8. Actually, had he not lent me the lift, it probably would have been impossible to get it done in 3 weeks, but I got it done. I was there this morning checking on everything, and tomorrow I got to work, but I'm going to show you a little bit of film on this video. You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving, great holidays. From me to you. Yes, you're probably looking at me like, yes, I'm tired. I'm going to get some rest the next, couple hours, and then tomorrow back at it again. But the weekend I get off, so that's good. But I wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to all my family, all my loved ones, my friends, and we're getting it done. That $12,900 sounded like
what?
Broke. Like I was really broke behind that. So I said, no, I can use that towards other things, cabinets, flooring, all that stuff. So I went ahead and tackled it myself and my old boss when he can help me. But we're getting it done. But you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. Spend it with your loved ones, and be blessed that you're here. Peace.
We find the answer in Luke chapter 7, verses 36 to 38, 37, 36 to 38. Jesus, when he was alive by the sin of the woman, you will find out it was Simon the Pharisee.
Goes the other way.
You were correct. We're going to go back to the music now with Cody Carnes, and the song is called Ain't Nobody. Might not be good English, but it's a good song. Right now on our Thursday midday look.
Too far? Lift it.
This thing is hard to roll on this plywood.
There's my tape measure. So let's go over here and check this workout. So the main power was here and went to that box right there for a light. And one switch here was going to turn that light on, this one, and then it was going to turn that one on. I didn't want it that way. I wanted a switch down here for that light and this to be separate. So now it is. So I ran the wiring from there. I grabbed the power from there. It was already going there. And I went straight down to this box, to the switch. I went from that box. The power was already there for a light. I went straight down to this box. Then came back up to the light so I could control it with that switch. So that's what I did there, so that they're both separate. And now I'm gonna continue working here, putting some nailers in there for the drywall. There wasn't none on the bottom right there where those 2x4s are in the way. There wasn't nothing on the bottom. And now I gotta put one up here, that part there, that part there, right there, there. Okay, so let's get to work. Okay, well, at least it'll be on video. If I die right here, it'll all be on video. It'll go in history never to do this. It's a good blooper for construction.
Don't use the same language that he's going to use.
Yeah.
Moving forward. Oh shit!
Let's see. Let's see, Steve. Let's see. Hopefully I can go through those 2x4s, as big as I am. Because that'll be a blooper itself. Alright, first I need my tape measure. So I'm going to do like 10 trips. Because I had to get rid of the insulation and measure. The day's almost coming to an end.
Yup.
Another day, November 12th, 2025. Getting it done. Getting
And,
the ceilings.
and tomorrow is my birthday.
And tomorrow's Bubba's birthday. Bubba's birthday, guys. Tomorrow. That guy is 9 years old tomorrow. He's growing up fast. You got it?
Oh well.
This boy right here, I love this boy. He helps me so much. Man, he keeps me going, I tell you. He's been around me since he was a baby. And I tell you, I take him fishing. He's like my fishing partner, my buddy, like a son. I mean, he's a hard worker. He'll do anything for me, you know. So I love the kid, and he's always around. He always, take me, Papa, I want to go, and, you know, I want to do this. He has his moments like every other kid, you know, and especially when I tell him there's certain jobs he can't be messing around, certain power tools and stuff like that. You know, he's like, why can't I do this and why can't I do that? He's dying to start cutting 2x4s because I taught him how to measure. So now he knows how to measure, so he wants to put it to work, you know. So I told him next year when he turns 9 years old, well, not next year, this year when he turned 9 years old, in the spring, in other words, as he's 9 years old, he'll start cutting 2x4s for me. He's cut a couple 2x4s for me, but, you know, with kids, you got to watch them very carefully because one little mistake and there goes a finger or a hand or something, you know. But, yeah, here we're just, you know, just making sure we do things right and we're talking a little bit about the ceilings and how a lot of these houses, the older homes, they're not. Sometimes they're not even 16 on center. Sometimes certain areas of the house are not square. You got your a little bit of higher points, So as you can see in the drywall there, it's kind of moving fast, but you can see where things don't line up perfect. But that's how it is with old homes. I love old homes. They're solid. Man, I love them more than the new homes. I really do. I mean, old homes are badass, man. I have to say it like that. Excuse my language, but they are badass because, they're just built different. They're built to last. So there's Donovan again. I love that boy, man. You guys, know I love my Makita tools. I want to showcase them. I love them. I use the Makita battery platform. Even in fishing, I use it. So, but anyways, this part here that's coming up, guys, is the framing. I went through 3 inspections on the framing. One contractor, he had the rafter part, because some of the rafters were burnt. And I know you're saying, well, the fire started in the basement. How did the rafters burn? We didn't know that till we demoed the place, the building, that somebody had, or at one point a fire had started, and it started in the attic, it seemed like, because 3 of the rafters were damaged. So when the city inspector came in, he said, I want them all replaced. And because I was working so many hours at the time when this happened, doing drywall myself and, miscellaneous jobs, as far as when it comes to construction and stuff, I didn't have time. So I hired this guy, and the inspector came in and said, man, I'm sorry, Jeff, you're going to have to redo these rafters. Where did you do the research to do this? Because he said he knew that I was taking on a lot of this myself to cut cost. So I said, no, I hired somebody to do it. And he was like, well, you need to get him back in here and get it redone. So anyways, that guy never showed up again. As a matter of fact, that guy there never even came and collected his money. Once I mentioned the inspector wanted to meet up with him and myself, he didn't even want to show up. The second one did the wall framing and the closets. So me with just a few years, maybe 2-3 years of research and doing some framing at the time, not a whole lot, I took it on myself. I said, you know what? That's it, man. This is the second time it doesn't pass inspection, second contractor, and this one did charge me, Unfortunately for him, he got upset with me because I didn't pay him the rest of the money. I said, look, man, show up Wednesday. The inspector will show up. And my inspector, by this time, he was upset, because this is the second guy. And I don't know if my inspector thought that I was kidding him, I was lying to him, and I was doing it myself, and I just didn't know what to do. I don't know if that's what he thought at the time, but once he got to know me, he knew that I shot straight. I didn't BS, So then I said, well, I told the inspector, you know what? I'm going to do some research, and I'm going to do it myself, because inspectors don't have to tell you how to fix the problem. They don't have to show you. So you have to do it on your own. And it is what it is. So right here, that's what I'm talking about. And also, too, I want to mention, you have to respect what contractors want to charge you. You have to respect their prices. But you just have to be careful when they start throwing around, my tools. It costs so much just for me to pull my tools out. Or I've been doing this 35 years. I know what I'm doing. Because I've heard them all. And this is what got me in this trouble. So what I ended up doing is I just did some research. I didn't know a whole lot about rafters and how things went. But, I did some research, fixed the rafters, redid 2 closets, and redid 2 walls myself. Inspector came, he inspected it. He said, nice job. Who did it this time? I said, I did it. And he was like, "You did the work?" I said, "Yes, I did the work." He says, "You know what? My dad always said, if you want something done the right way, do it yourself. But I know you're not a carpenter. I know that this is not what you do. I know you got experience in drywall and, other jobs and stuff. But, man, great job. Good job." I told him, "Thank you." He was on his way. Framing passed. So, long story short, be careful who you deal with. And that's that. So, enjoy the rest of the video, guys. And like I said earlier, I hope you guys are having a good Thanksgiving today. I know this is kind of a boring video, but it's kind of like keeping you up to date of what's going on. So, bear with me. Anyways, we built the closets. Well, I built the other two closets. This closet didn't pass inspection, whatever. I had to redo it, okay? So anyways, we got the framing done, and after the framing, we're now putting the drywall up, right? I put blocking in here. You remember this blocking? Because I'm gonna tell you about all this as well. Wasn't needed. Well, I was told you don't need it. I put the blocking on this room, in this room too, as well. Why not do it if you're already here? Why not do it? Just have it done. So anyways, this is where we're at. We did most of the ceilings. That ceiling in the bathroom can't be done till he comes back and runs me some electrical right here, because there's gonna be some custom shelves built here. So that's where we're at. This is the bathroom, shower. But yeah, so I've been real busy, guys, real busy. And those are the benches I was telling you. Climbing up on that bench to hold 5/8. Anybody that knows about drywall, 5/8 will kick your butt. That's not like 1/2 inch drywall. That's a total different ball game. So this is where we're at. But I'm gonna tell you a story about these guys that have been coming here and that I've talked to, and you guys are gonna trip out, man. As you guys see, one shelf, 230 to 280. One just framing it, the other one finished, framed and finished. So there you go. That's how it is. That's life, You can't be upset about their prices. That's just the prices. I'm just letting you know some people charge that, So, you're going to ask me, well, would you charge that? No, I wouldn't charge that. Especially if you're giving me 3, 4 to do, you know what I'm saying? If I'm going to do 3 or 4 of them, come on, I'd work with a person. And I would never charge $230 for it. Just to frame it, $230? Nah, I wouldn't do that. I mean, in the wood, in the 2x4s, I think it's, under $20, So, yeah, you just can't do that to people, man. But it is what it is. You have to respect it. But I'm just letting you know, guys, how it is out here with some of these people. And then they wonder why they're sitting at home with no work. So that's another thing, And then they have tunnel vision. They see a whole house has to be done. They're jack of all trades, measure of none. And you need work. And you're throwing prices around like that. So you're going to sit your ass at home, But anyways, that's why I do a lot of the stuff myself, And that's how I've learned a lot of things, like how to frame and, how to run electrical and stuff and a whole bunch of stuff. In this case, the city was involved because the house almost burned down. So a lot of this work had to be certified. Like the plumber had to be certified. Damn near 30 grand. The electrician, another 10,000. Actually, it's a little bit more with material. What else? HVAC, that was 20 grand, So, I mean, over 20 grand on the HVAC, but it is what it is, I'm not real good in plumbing, so I stay away from plumbing, but electrical is something I love to do. I thought about going back to school for that. So I've been thinking about it. It's never too late. But yep, here it is. I built that shelf. I built that. The soffit. The arch, like I said. The arch. that shelf above it, and now we're gonna build one here. So let me get to work. Sunday, 16th, 2025. You guys take it easy. Yes, Sunday. I have no choice. I gotta do it. Peace. Now, in this part, my buddy comes over and he's like, hey, Jeff, remember we did some drywall a couple years ago and we wrapped some drywall around the windows, kind of like what we're going to do here. Remember that the people were like, oh, just wrap the windows. And we were like, you just can't wrap the windows because the windows, they were level. They opened and everything was fine. You know, they opened perfect, no problems with the windows, but they weren't centered to the rough opening. So yes, they're level. They function the way they're supposed to function. Everything's supposed, you know, it works the way it's supposed to. But when you go to buy your blind, let's say you get a 23-inch blind. The blind's 23-inch all the way down to 40 inches or whatever the length is. Well, when you go to bring it down to shut your blind, once it gets mid to the midsection of the window, now it don't want to fit in there. Well, that's because the window wasn't centered, you know, to the rough opening. Forget about it being leveled and forget about it being functional. If you didn't center it to the rough opening, now it's gonna be basically leaning to one side or the other. And when you go to trim it out or do drywall in this case, you're not going to be able to, it's not going to be even. So we had to improvise. We had to buy 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch plywood to make it even so that you don't have that problem when you buy your blinds and stuff. So it's all even. So that's what happened here. The guy that I had to do the windows, 20 years, 30 years, who knows what the story was. I got all this experience. He didn't center the windows. I don't do windows all the time. I might have made the mistake on one, maybe two, and I would have caught on and went back and fixed the issue, you know what I'm saying? Because I remember doing a job like this, you know? So in this case, I came back and I'm like, here we are, 2025, getting ready to drywall the house, and we find out that it's the same problem with these windows. But like I said, everything was functional. Everything worked fine. There was no problems with the window. It's just that you want to make sure when you trim them out, whether it's the inside, whether you trim them out with oak, pine, whatever, that it's all even, so that when you do buy your blinds and you bring your blind down, it fits in it. You know, it fits perfect, you know. So these are mistakes, and these are things that you have to watch out when you're dealing with people, because, you know, they'll tell you, look, I know this job. I've been doing it a long time, and, you know, so you have to be careful with things like that. So now I have to fix it. I have to stop a day of drywall, a day of framing, or whatever I had to do, and attend to this issue. And let's not forget, I paid for most of these windows to get put in by that same person. So, you know, lesson learned. But that's what I'm doing here in this part. But I hope you guys weren't bored with the video. The video's coming to an end. I hope you guys seen. I gotta give it all I got. Like we say in Spanish, ánimo, you know. If you can't, you know, if you can tackle something and do it yourself, do it yourself. The only issues now with me is I'm getting my health together, and so I could not have issues as far as on the health part of it. So here we are. You guys take it easy. So today's the 20th.
It's because I'm looking at
20th of November, 2025. That's Bubba. We're here at Apartmently working.
I have just turned 9.
You just turned 9?
Yeah.
Huh? He's working today. He went to school, plus he has a job. After school, he works here. Right, Bubba?
Bella, tomorrow on Friday,